Ryan Trahan.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Yes. So I'm gonna leave these right here. So, Ryan, real quick, from your perspective, how did we get here?
Uh, I don't know, man. I think you just reached out to me on Instagram, and I was willing to basically take a leap, meet you. There is a YouTuber that is supposedly the real Ryan Trahan. So I think that's what we're here to talk about today.
Okay. So do you pronounce your last name Trahan?
So Ryan Trahan.
Okay, that's interesting.
So if you go where I'm from in Lafayette, Crowley, Louisiana, basically, if you go an hour to the west, it's Trahan. If you go an hour to the east, it stays Trahan.
Whoa. So is that kind of like a Louisiana name? Do you feel like pretty local?
Yeah, it's French. They have a lot of Trahans in Louisiana. Yeah,
that is so funny. So I've been calling you the wrong name this whole time.
It just all depends. I say Trahan when I'm not at home.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay. Interesting. Because I'm sure probably most people are like, oh, Trahan, like
yep.
Whatever. Okay.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay, so tell me then, who is Ryan Trahan?
So, I mean, I'm in my mid-30s. I got 2 kids, married to a beautiful wife. I guess I'm just a family man, adventure seeker. Yeah. We spend our weekends hanging out with our 3 and our 5-year-old girl, and we basically moved here to Florida so that we could have a good time and live like a slower life. We were in Denver at one point, seeking adventure, wanting to live that outside life, and now that we have our girls, man, like, we're just a pretty relaxed family, like, spend our time together on the weekends. I just recently, over the last 6 months, switched careers, so, like, now I do sales remotely from home, best job I've ever had, and I get more time with my family than I've ever had. So, I mean, when it comes to goals, man, and like, I think changing careers is not everybody's goal, but also getting more time for yourself and doing what you really love to do, as opposed to what you think you love to do or what everybody else wants you to do, can be a super free experience. Yeah.
What were you doing before the remote sales position?
I was a chef opening, I would say, my own restaurants, but opening restaurants for investors. I didn't look at it, towards the end, it wasn't a job for me. It was almost like being an indentured servant to other people's money. So like, as much as you think like you're getting to open your restaurants and serve people your food and these types of things, like, anytime you take on an investor or anything like that, especially people from outside of the industry that you're trying to build and invest in, I find that goals don't always really align, and like, it just becomes something that owns you instead of you owning it. And I think that's really what happened to me, man. Like, working long hours. Like I said, I have 2 small kids. Like, no one with 2 small kids wants to work every Friday and Saturday night until 2:00 in the morning. And really, I mean, it's not that I didn't love it, dude. I love food. Like, I won the Louisiana Seafood Cook-Off, won the National Cook-Off, got to travel. I've gained more life experience from cooking than I think I would have ever gotten, and it's given me a lot of the direction that I have today. Like, if I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't know the value of my time and the value of spending time with my family and all of these things, right? All the things that I took for granted in the past. And I think, as great as it is to have people know you and to hit these certain things that say make your name in your industry, I don't think it's in every case that it is the factor that makes you happy.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow, that's huge.
I think what makes you successful and what makes you happy are 2 completely different things. And when you're cooking for a living, working every day, 12 hours a day, you don't realize that what you do and who you are 2 completely separate things. What you do becomes who you are all the time. So that's
what That's really cool. I think that's a super important message. Just a quick question, quick aside here. What is your favorite meal to make? Like, if you could do a go-to, like, whip something up, what do you like to make?
On a normal basis, all right, there's a few of them.
Yeah.
So steak and gravy is like a big thing. Gravy from the South, bro, that's the biggest thing. And like playing sports growing up, like every night I would come home, like all I wanted to eat whenever I was young was rice, gravy, smothered steak, and corn.
Oh, that does sound amazing.
As I got older, man, and started to cook, like gumbo became my thing because it was like something that always reminded me of like going to my grandmother's house, and like she taught me how to cook my first gumbo, so it was like became super sentimental to me to be able to cook gumbo. Now, I mean, man, it's like much simpler things. Like I have a green egg at home. I have like a little Santa Maria grill where I can cook on open fire, and like most of the time it's like just simple grilled meats and vegetables and out the door. Nice. So
What is gumbo? I feel like it's an enigma to most people.
So gumbo is a really flavorful Southern soup, I guess you would call it. I hate to do it an injustice by calling it a soup, but so andouille sausage and force meats and sausage are a really big part of Southern culture, which came into play from doing boucheries and really focusing on pork, right? And like what it's like to like be in the South and have these roasted porks and make these sausages and all those things. And gumbo highlights the most significant ingredient that we have in the South, which is root. So we use that to make a stew. It's basically a thickener. And the way we make it in the South, as opposed to the way they make it in France, so like French roux are typically like really light and used as a thickener, to where we take a dark roux, and a lot of people pride themselves on how close they can get it to the brink of burning without burning it, right? How dark can you get it? How much flavor can you add without burning it? Everybody has their own ideal scenario of what the perfect gumbo is. The main things are seafood, or chicken and sausage, or okra. Okra base does not have roux. The okra itself thickens the gumbo because it's a thickener. A little bit slimier than, say, flour and the oil. But like I have a buddy who, his family, chicken and sausage gumbo to him is chicken, sausage, and shrimp. All right? Chicken and sausage gumbo to me, bro, is chicken and sausage, right? Seafood gumbo to me is oysters, crab, crawfish, shrimp. Seafood gumbo to someone else may not have crawfish in it because it's not seafood, right? It's a freshwater crustacean.
Oh, interesting.
So like there's all these different variabilities, but the one thing gumbo is not is what you find on the Disney recipe, where it's like collard greens and tomatoes and all these things. Like, dude, people in the South are very particular, and you can do a lot to gumbo, but the vegetables in gumbo are Trinity, and that's it.
Whoa, really? Okay.
Onions, bell peppers, celery, and then garlic, of course, like if you want to add garlic, but no tomatoes, none of that stuff.
Dang.
So
Okay.
I would say that is probably one of my first restaurants that I ever opened was called Dark Roux, and that's all we did was focus on like how we can elevate Southern food, take it from this plate lunch style that everybody's used to out of a styrofoam container and do it in a more elegant way, right?
That's awesome. That's crazy. Because how many restaurants have you opened, run, managed?
Oh, a bunch. Whenever I got out of college, I helped my father-in-law start a breakfast franchise called Brick and Spoon. We got those to 4 locations within like the first year and a half. And then I decided corporate life wasn't for me. So I decided I want to go out on my own. I think now the Brick and Spoons are 12 locations. I opened a restaurant called Dark Roux. Very creative, so far off the beaten path, like 2 miles outside of town, like right in front of a new development, like not a lot of foot traffic, not a lot of street traffic, 35 seats, like really small. Did that for a few years. And then once that lease was up, I decided I didn't want to renew it, but that I didn't want to bring Dark Roux. I didn't want to build Dark Roux in a new space that would change what the restaurant was, right? It was in a small, very intimate space, very small kitchen, a unique environment, and I decided that if I was going to do something in a different space, that it needed to be something completely new. So whenever the lease was up, retired the Dark Roux name, took a consulting job for one of the more well-known restaurants that had been open for 25, 30 years, right? They were on the brink of filing bankruptcy. I didn't know that when I took the job, but I found out about a couple weeks later whenever they decided to fill me in.
Let you know.
Yeah, whenever they decided to let me
way.
know that, by the way, we're broke and we're expecting you to fix this.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, so that was an experience. I did that for about a year and a half. At that point, I took on investors to open a new restaurant that was a 14-foot live fire only, no gas, no electricity. We just cook on flame, do things a little bit more simple, take it back in time, right, to what was kind of being lost in today's restaurant landscape. And it took me 3 years to build that place and get it open. And after we were open for about a year and a half, that's whenever I realized that I had opened my dream restaurant. I had done everything that I had really set out to do from the start of working in restaurants, and I still wasn't happy. I think sometimes when you have the ability to reach your dreams, right? So like no matter what it is, when you have passion and when you have the want to succeed and you have to take on investors, you can accomplish all the dreams you want, but they're not a dream come true. Sometimes you get into situations where no matter what you do, if you don't own your ideas, then whoever owns those ideas owns you, or your ideas own you.
Yeah.
And when you don't have the freedom to do what you want, and you've conquered your dreams, but you have someone else measuring your success on a ruler that doesn't live up to what real success can actually be attained, you're just gonna keep going around in circles, man, and being unhappy. Like, I am in a place now where I think at that point in my career, I couldn't see myself ever doing anything else. Like I said earlier, like sometimes who you are is sometimes what you do defines who you are when you aren't able to step back and see that, right? And when you live your life according to what other people's expectations are for you, you're not free. So it was a scary thing for me to get out of that industry, but I was being treated very poorly by investors that had no idea of like what the real inner workings of my business were. And I wasn't willing to give up any more of my freedom to basically be almost enslaved to this one concept, to this one business. And now that I've made that change, dude, it was a scary thing. Like, I'm in a new field, but honestly, man, like, it's paid off. Like, whenever I decided to step back, I took 2 months off, didn't work, just kind of tried to find myself, tried to not convince myself, tried to make myself see that the person that I was, and as happy as I thought I was actually really miserable. And since I've been able to kind of open up, accept that, and find who I truly am inside, like I've been able to start a new career, be successful in that new career. I get probably twice the amount of time at home with my family, and I make almost 3 or 4 times the amount of money. So like, and it was honestly just fear that was holding me back from it. And my wife, dude, she's a strong woman, and like she's been telling me for years, like, you can do anything you want. You can go find something to do that you're going to be more successful. You're going to enjoy it more. Like, if you saw what I saw or what I see, you'll know that like it's not true happiness. And like, I think when you get lost in online life, dude, like when you're striving to be the best at something and like you're in it from the time you wake up in the morning till 2 or 3 a.m. whenever you get off and you're going to bed, and when you're going to sleep, you're thinking, what did we do today? Was it the best? Like, what are other people doing? And you're looking online and you're like, well, it wasn't the best. How do we get to be at this stage, right? You're constantly comparing yourself to everything other than what you think you need to be successful. You're letting other people create this vision of what success in society is that isn't obtainable, right? It's kind of like you hear people where they're like, when you look on Instagram all day, you only see the greatest parts of people's lives, right? So you think everybody's living this perfect life, but you don't see the struggles. You don't see the bad things that are going on because people only post the good. And like that realization hit me really quickly, and just learning that life is not only ups, it's ups and downs, and how you capitalize on those and how you bring happiness to yourself and those types of things. And I think once I figured that out, dude, I was able to like really like let all the things that didn't matter just fade away. Like,
Yeah.
I spend more meaningful time with my girls. I spend more meaningful time with myself. Like, and like it's just unlocked a new happiness for me. It really is. It's big.
That's awesome.
Yep.
What let's get into, what is it like? Obviously, there's this other guy out there with the same exact name as you, who's a YouTube personality. What is that like? Have you had any people think you were him, or what? Yeah, just share a little bit more about your experience about that.
So, I mean, I've never watched his channel. I don't know. I don't think
Really?
I don't think we look alike. No,
You don't? No.
no. So when in
This is
public.
his shirt, by the way. This is his merch.
Oh,
So
really?
That's him. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh.
This is the only merch I like have of a YouTuber. Because I was like, I know this is gonna happen, so I need the shirt.
So I think I'm a little older. I'm not sure how old he is, but I think we're like a whole different generation.
I think so.
Right? So like in public, not really, but like, dude, you'd be surprised how many text messages I get of people wanting to blackmail me.
Wow.
Where it's like, cash at me $500 or I'm releasing this phone number to the public. And I'm like, please. My only response is just, okay, bro, go ahead.
Yeah.
Like, I just, like, I just can't help but think, like, the only thing that really pops into my mind is, like, because I do this all day, right? Like, in sales, it's like, you need to get to a decision maker. You need to find, like, you want to call the right number and you want to talk to the right person. And, like, the only thing that pops into my head when I get those texts is, like, damn, these people are so poorly researched. Like, so it's
They
like,
could have done so much more qualifications here.
yeah, if you were in sales, bro, you'd be failing right now. So like, you found the wrong decision maker. But like, I don't know, dude. One dude I tried to use it as just like a learning experience. I'm like, bro, like, this is not the right person, and he's like, you're lying. I'm like, no, dude. I was like, but if you keep doing this, you'll probably end up in jail one day. Like, try like 500. Like, start with $459 instead of 500. Once you get to 500, bro, that you're in a felony level. All right. So like anything under 500, you're good.
That's
Right.
$30.
Yeah, $30.
Give me $30.
Yeah, and send it for the next every day for the next month. Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So like, but other than that, like, I mean, no, like, I don't really live my life in a social world. I very rarely post on social media. I try to live kind of a little bit more in the shadows. So, like, I guess being a chef, and so I represented the state of Louisiana for a while, traveling all over. Like, whenever I was at home, like, everybody knew who I was. Everybody knew what I did. Everybody loved the restaurant, wanted to tell me certain things that they enjoyed that we do. So I guess my social became more of like a business for me. It's like, what are we doing at the time at work? what is going on in my professional career. My private life I hold a little bit too private. So like, close to the chest. I like keeping it there. Like, I just want my girls to have a good life and be normal, and so like it's never been something that I've really reached for. And like I find myself to be a pretty humble person that just not really big on the spotlight, dude. Like I like to be with my friends and the people I know and do things with those people and kind of just go on about my day.
Yeah. That's cool. Makes sense. Yeah, I feel like I've had moments in my life where, I don't know, part of me, sometimes I'm always tempted, like, what if I just went off grid, deleted everything, whatever. But it is funny how, I don't know, like, some people put their entire life online, other people don't, and you can live perfectly. So I think it's funny too, because like someone could be super mega famous in this little sphere over here, but you like step out of there and like no one knows who that person is.
Yep.
Like, I think that's the funniest part to me.
It's so true, man. Yeah. It's so true. So like, and it's kind of like the same, like in my aspect, in the other Ryan's aspect, it's like, my wife didn't know who he was.
Really?
I was like, there's a famous YouTuber called Ryan Trahan. She was like, I had no idea.
Who is that? Yeah. That is funny. Thanks. So you haven't seen a single one of his videos?
Not one.
Are you against seeing one of his videos?
No.
Okay. I definitely think he's got a couple good ones. I think, in my opinion, I think you should start with, he just did a penny series, basically where he tries to travel to a certain undisclosed place using nothing but a penny as like to generate money, which we're about to challenge each other to in a little bit. Okay. But he dropped himself in Paris, France, and tried to get back home to America using only a penny. And he did it in 7 days. So it's pretty cool.
How do you do that? I have to watch
Trial and error, yeah. You're gonna have to find out. So, okay, I think we're still recording, so that's good. I think that's good enough. I think.
Awesome.
Do you think you can beat me in this penny series challenge?
We'll try.
We'll try.
I don't know, bro. I've never.
We might do this at a different filming location, but here's your penny.
Oh, I want the shiny one.
You want the shiny one?
Yeah, I think that one's gonna. I think that one's gonna turn people on.
I wanted the shiny one. So it's funny that you said that. So, all right. So I think we'll film another part of this. But last thing, anything you want to say to the world? Because millions of people are gonna watch this. Mega millions.
Just be you, man. Do what makes you happy. Don't worry about everybody else in the world. I spent too much time doing that, and it gave me this false sense of happiness that it takes a long time to figure out that it is a false sense of happiness. So I think do what makes you happy. There's millions of people, billions of people on this planet, and probably billions of people on many other planets that it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's all about you and your life and what makes you happy and what makes you tick.
That's good.
And worry about that.
So you're saying you believe in aliens?
Oh, I do.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Same.
Absolutely, bro. There's no way we're the only ones. No way.
I agree. All right, let's stop this one, but that's good. Nice.